Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. And it's just Marco here once again, and I am here today to review Return to House on Haunted Hill. And yes, I did promise that I would rewatch this and give you guys my thoughts. And right off the bat, guys, I don't know why people hate this movie. I think that it's almost just as good as I remembered it being as a kid. I mean, as a kid, I didn't like some of the stuff in it either. It is kind of a trashy movie. It very much feels like a downgrade just in terms of spectacle and stuff like that, because this movie it's completely different than the first remake. It's, the first movie, it's like a theme park ride, and it's very goofy and over the top and colorful. And this movie has a more gritty 2007 feel, and it does not have very much color in the movie, unfortunately. And, but I would say, overall, I really enjoyed this movie again. And maybe it's just, I don't think it's nostalgia, but this is a fun movie. And it improves on every single thing that the first movie did wrong. Let's see, number one, in the first movie, the editing is terrible. The story structure is terrible. You can't understand what's going on. Okay, that problem was solved. In this movie, you understand the entire thing of what's going on, even though there's some stupid stuff in it, and it's so the way that we amp things up is we added a MacGuffin, where someone's got to find the idol in this haunted house. That was such a great idea. Not. But actually, number two, in the first movie, the villain was Parallax. It was just a big black cloud, and there was really no explanation of okay, what is this black cloud exactly? Where did this evil come from? Oh, well, in this movie, we know exactly where it comes from. The Dr. Vannicut, the evil doctor from the first movie, he bought this idol because he's a collector, which makes sense after the first movie. And the idol is the source of all evil. It's an evil statue, and it's a cult thing. And, that's goofy, stupid, dumb, but again, at least it makes sense. Number three, the villain is there's no human villain in the first movie. There's not really a great human villain. The wife, Evelyn, she was kind of a villain, but not really. They kind of redeemed her and made it oh no, poor Evelyn. Oh no, she's going to get killed. And even Geoffrey Rush was really upset about it. Well, in this movie, they have multiple human villains. They have Zach Bagans. And now that's the funny thing about this movie, is that the bad guy, there's this group of evil treasure hunters, and it's led by a guy who looks like a bargain bin Wish.com Zach Bagans. And they definitely did that on purpose. And it's just so funny because it's so perfect for the time. This is 2007, and I think that they did a good job with that. I think Zach Bagans, he is kind of a villain. He is a giant buffoon. And, you've seen, the fake stuff that he does, where he pretends to be possessed. There's actually a really funny part in this movie. See, I think that maybe if people, because I think if you love the first movie, you'll hate this one. But if you hate the first movie, you'll probably like this one. But there's this part in the movie where all of a sudden, Zach Bagans, and that's what I'll call him, because I mean the character's name was like Desmond or something. Like, what a stupid name. Stupid, corny, cliche name for like a bad guy. He has this girlfriend who like, she was like that was like a little twist at the beginning, was she, well, I'm not going to get into the whole thing, but like, she betrays the good group of people and she gets with Zach Bagans, and she was with him all along. And there's this part where he just randomly starts flipping out at her and chasing her through the asylum. And it's just funny because it was so reminiscent of like all these times where Zach pretends that he's possessed, quote unquote, and he's like, no, and you know, it's so goofy and stupid, but you can tell that that's what they were going for with that part. You know, you can tell that they were trying to make like a joke of all those times that he did that on Ghost Adventures. So let's see. Oh, yeah, and also, in the first movie, you know, I think that the Dr. Vannicut story is, it's kind of like an undercurrent of the movie, but it's not really as like explicit and overt as it is in this movie. Like, he is the villain in the movie, Dr. Vannicut, his ghost. He goes around killing people, and he's just always there, like, watching people, like, get brutally tortured to death. And so I would say, you know, good job. Like, because that was what was missing about the first one, was we needed more of, like, a human element. Like, they added so much humanity to the second movie. And so number 4, the characters in the first movie were non-existent. They were like stereotypes, archetypes. In this movie, there are some characters, and they do have a little tiny bit more to them, and you can really understand who they are as people. And you can also, you know, be a little tiny bit worried over whether or not they will be killed. So, I mean, you have the main girl. She is the sister of the girl in the first movie. Now, I will say, one of the things I didn't like about this movie was the fact that, like, okay, she starts off the movie as, like, she's, like, a complete skeptic. She doesn't believe her sister at all. And then her sister kills herself. And I didn't like that. You know, I didn't like the fact that her sister, they made it seem like, oh, well, after she had probably, as I said in the last video, the most happy ending you could ever get in a horror movie, now she was like a broken mess, and she was like an obsessive. She was like putting newspapers all over her wall, and just, it was so stupid. Because if she had millions of dollars to split with that guy, who, I don't know why he wasn't still, like, with her, because, you know, I mean, they were clearly, you know, like, boyfriend-girlfriend at the end of the movie, but she has millions of dollars. You're telling me she can't spend, like, a couple of $1,000 in therapy every year? You know, like, or she can't use any of that money to solve any of the problems that she has. Like, you know, she learns about the idol in the mansion, and it's like, you can't spend any money to hire some people to go back into the mansion and destroy it or something. Like, just anything. But no. So, yeah, I guess, in fact, it is kind of like, it is kind of vague whether she kills herself because of the ghosts, or whether or not Zachary Bagans kills her or something. But as I was saying, the final girl, she's very, very clearly the final girl. I mean, she just, in fact, it is the final girl from Friday the 13th, the remake, and wow, she is smoking hot in this movie. And, you know, I've just realized that this actress, she was made to be wet on screen. I mean, because every single movie that she's in where it's like a horror movie, there's always got to be a part where there's like a heavy rainstorm and she's got her white tank top and her jeans, and it's like, you know what? I miss this kind of final girl. Okay, like I'm so sick and tired of the stupid final girls that they have nowadays that just have no personality, and they have no sexiness either, because we can't have movies for the quote unquote male gaze anymore. And so, everything has always just got to look so sanitized and clean. Like you have that never mind. I don't want to, because I don't want to be too negative in this video, because I did actually like this movie quite a bit. And I don't understand why people don't like this. Like, there's so many, all these things that I've said, they all improved on the original so much. I mean, it's just every single little thing. It was like they had a checklist, and every single little thing, they were like, okay, let's fix that, let's fix that, let's fix that. But let's get back to the final girl. So she starts off the movie a skeptic. Now, the movie is very, very fast. It's like, it's a little too fast. Like, I don't like movies that are this fast-paced, because it kind of feels like they're cheap. It feels like they're like straight to DVD. And this movie, it totally rushes the story. It rushes the scares. It rushes the kills. It's a very rushed movie. And, she has this arc where she actually escapes the house like halfway through. And she escapes in like 2 seconds. And then she has this like moment that's like totally unbelievable, where she's like, oh no, my boyfriend is still in there. This guy that, I just kind of know, and he's just kind of now my unofficial boyfriend. He's in there. Oh no. So she like has this moment it's really kind of cringeworthy, where she's like, yeah, I'm gonna go back into the house, and there's nothing anyone can do about it. And she even says something like, like, fuck you too, to the house or something. And it's just so cringeworthy. I almost crawled out of my chair and died at that point, because it was so cringe. And then so she goes back inside, and they tried to do this thing, and it didn't work, because it didn't feel earned. It didn't feel like she had been through anything, and it didn't feel like she came to that point naturally. It just felt like goofy, stupid, dumb. Let's see. Oh yeah, the kills in the first movie, they sucked. So the kills in this movie are 1,000 times better. They have this one kill. Dr. Vanniket skins this girl's face off. He's just like, choo, 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 choo. Dr. Vanniket in this movie, he has the power of shaky cam killing. And, regular killing, like Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, where the camera's just on the ceiling, and you see, Norman Bates running out of the room, and then he stabs the guy, and he falls down the stairs. Like, that's not scary. That's stupid and goofy. No, I'm just kidding. I love Psycho, obviously. But, this movie, you don't want to mess with a villain who has the power of shaky cam. I've got the power! Dr. Vanniket has got the power. Okay? He's just like, choo, 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 choo. He's almost like a ninja, like he's always there. He just shows up, and he's like, that person has to die, and he doesn't talk. That's the one thing that I would say that I didn't like, was I kind of wish that he had talked, because I really liked that they made him a character in the first movie. It just felt, again, like a theme park. Like, oh, it's just, that's a character in the background, but not really a character in the foreground. And speaking of characters, another thing that I liked is there was a lot of good horror in this movie. Every time someone gets killed, they cut to old-fashioned footage of like the patients getting tortured and or killed, and it paints a really grim, gruesome, brutal, dark picture of the past, and it added so much depth, and it added so much humanity. Like there was this one part where they had these two lesbian nurses, and of course or patients, and you get to see them get naked, and that's another great thing about this movie. It's got a ton of nudity. I mean, I was kind of surprised because, again, like, movies nowadays, like, they don't want to show anything, because they don't want to appeal to men. So, the most that they'll do is, like, show a girl's boobs for, like, 2 seconds, and then it's like, oh, yeah, that's our nudity quota. But this movie, it's got, like, full-fledged, like, it's a lot. It's quite a bit, especially compared to nowadays. And I'm just so thankful for it, though, because it's like, this is how it should be. Like, the thing is that, like, when it comes to nudity, it's not like I'm like, okay, every movie has to have, like, full nudity. It's just the fact that it feels like you're not allowed to have that. And it feels like if you do, there's all these, like, restrictions and all these qualifications, like, oh, was it necessary nudity? Did you use the sex police on set? Like, there's all these qualifications that they put on it, like it's bad or it's taboo, and and I just want it to feel more like they can have it in the movie if they want, and if they don't want to have it, it's fine. But nowadays, it just doesn't feel like you're allowed to have it anymore. It just feels like it's like a bad thing, and like you're looked down on for having it. And but there's this part where you see these two lesbian patients, and the medical board, they rip them apart and they kill them and they tortured them to death, and it's like this really tragic thing. And then they show that, like, even in the afterlife, these evil ghosts are together. But, like, I love that they gave humanity to the patients. In the first movie, the patients were like animals. Like, you never saw, like, a human patient, like a human moment. But in this movie, they even had, like, a head patient. And he told the final girl, like, what to do, how to defeat the evil. And I thought that's such a great idea. Like, you added humanity to this lifeless, superficial movie. So I'm trying to think of what else. Let's see. I mean, Zach Bagans, his character's hilarious. He's really, really funny. I mean, because he's so not Zach Bagans, the guy, but, like, he really tried. He really, really tried. The only thing that I wish that he did, but he didn't, is that, he didn't believe in ghosts the whole movie, which it's like, he was literally the only character in the whole movie who still didn't, like, believe in ghosts until they killed him. But I wish that, Zach Bagans in Ghost Adventures, he always goes into, like, a haunted place and he taunts the ghosts to like, tempt them and to make them scare him or get on camera. And so I wish that this bargain bin version had done that, because it would have been so funny. Let's see. I would also say, too, because basically the movie is all about, you have this one team. And the team is consistent of this professor and this other guy and this girl. And the girl betrays him, but he is looking for this idol because he has been studying Dr. Vannicut for years, and he wants to get the idol and put it in a museum and probably sell it to the museum, I guess. I don't know how that stuff works. I don't think you'd make money from just, giving it to a museum, but, who knows? But, so you have that, you have the good team, and then you have the bad team, which the final girl and her boyfriend get kidnapped by these evil treasure hunters and led by Zach Bagans. And they get forced to go into the haunted house to search for the idol. And again, I love it when characters are forced to do something that they don't want to do, that like that's like the movie. You know, like I love like King of Comedy, you know, where like the main guy, he kidnaps the comedian, and he forces him to just endure like hours and hours of torture. I love like Misery, you know, where obviously she kidnaps the main guy and she treats his car crash injuries, but then she tortures him and keeps him there, because I think that because there's just something about like the reluctant villain, or a character who gets into a situation that they didn't want to get into, that makes stories really interesting and intense, because it's like this final girl, she didn't want to go to that house. She didn't want to have anything to do with that. And so just the fact that like she was forced to be in there, it just adds a layer of tragedy, because it's like she was put in there. Like she didn't want to go there. She was put in there by these fucking evil people. And but what I was going to say is that this movie, it kind of reminds me a lot of Uncharted 2. It reminds me a lot of the Uncharted games. You know, especially the part where, you know, Flynn, where him and the warlord force Nathan and I can't remember which girl it was at that point, you know, because in that, I think it was Chloe. Yeah. Because, you know, Nathan like switched back and forth in the second game. You know, he was like, oh, I like you, but I also like you. And, you know, he was a real player in the second game. But it really reminded me of like that part in Uncharted 2, you know, where they're forced to kind of help find the city of Shambhala with the bad guys. And so that's what this whole movie felt like. It just felt like Uncharted. It actually felt more like Uncharted than the actual Uncharted movie. And so overall, guys, I gotta say again, this is not a bad movie. It is a trashy movie. Like, there are some stupid things in it. A lot of people have pointed out there's a line of dialogue where the girl says the house is going to use all its power against us. But it's like, here's the fucking thing, guys. There are tons of fucking haunted house movies where characters will say the exact same kind of thing, and I never hear anyone complaining. Ever. So the fact that, like, I don't get, like, what's the complaint there? Like, it is a goofy line of dialogue, but, like, if the house is evil, then, you know, why is it so bad that they're actually, like, you know, stating the fact? I mean, that's what happened. The house did everything it could to stop them. But, yeah. So let's see. I mean, the ending's okay. I mean, I gotta say, the characters, even though they were better than the ones from the first one, like, I mean, they did have a bit of character to them, I still didn't like them very much at all. Okay, I mean, I did not like, they were just so typical, like, 2007 characters. The only one that I really liked was the final girl because she was hot, but even then, she was a terrible character. And at the end of the movie, you know, they have this, like, romantic moment. The characters kiss, and then they just go off to their car together. And it's so cheesy and just, ugh. And it's just, like, it didn't feel earned. It didn't feel like I didn't give a shit about whether or not they would end up together at the end. Like, the boyfriend and the girlfriend, you know. And I mean, but here's the thing, too. There are so many old horror movies from like the 1950s, 1940s, the 30s, and they all had that exact same problem too. But for some reason, when people review horror movies, there are certain horror movies that get like this unfair like criticism compared to others. Like, I never see people talking about like criticizing like couples from back in the old horror movies, like these superficial characters that would end up together. Like, oh, there's always got to be the mustache man, and he ends up with the blonde girl. And there's always got to be like the pretty guy who ends up with the girl, because she can't end up with the other guy. She's got to end up with the pretty boy guy. And, that's in every single one from back then almost. And I never see people complain about it. But for some reason, again, this movie in particular, I don't know why. I don't understand. Again, this movie is light years better than the first one. It improved on every single damn thing. Every single thing. The only thing that I would say should have been changed in this movie is to make it colorful. They had a lot of great looking monsters and ghosts in this movie. They had a great set. It was still the same set from the first movie. But it's ugly because it has this 2007 ugly gray look to it. And there's this part in particular that really frustrated me where these two characters are fighting. And they're fighting in the shower room. And all of a sudden the shower turns on. And there's blood coming out of the shower. And it's supposed to be like this badass, like ooh type of moment. But because of the bad color grading, the blood, you can't even see it. You can't even tell that it's getting on these characters. It's just, it's like brown. It's like brown black water. It doesn't even look like there's bright red blood getting on these characters. And so that's just, it undercuts the whole point of that happening. So anyways, in terms of food, as I mentioned before, I first saw this movie at my grandma's house in her addition, which had like this huge TV. It was a great like hangout zone. And, it was a great hangout zone. And I caught this movie on TV, I think, with my brother. And I think at the time I had Subway because, like, I think it was like around lunchtime or dinner. I can't remember, but we got Subway. And I got like a foot long with turkey, American cheese, lettuce, tomato, mayo. And then I got a cookie. I remember it very, very well. And it was a great experience because, like, that's what this movie is. It's like a typical run-of-the-mill, like, casual, like, Subway dinner with, like, a cookie. And it's nice and simple and short and sweet. You know that Subway is not the greatest for you. And you know that they're going to kind of give you a lot of bread and not a lot of toppings. But it is still a great experience, like this movie. And also, there's something on the DVD, apparently, where, like, you can control what happens in the movie. And so maybe that's why the movie feels so trashy. Maybe it's because, it wasn't made to be like a strong narrative movie. It was made to be like something where they could experiment with this thing where you could control the outcome. I think I actually tried that when I watched the movie, because I do have the movie on DVD. But yeah, so anyways, my cat wants to come in now. In fact, I'll let him in because I want you guys, because he was with me last night when I was watching this, well, part of it. So I'm going to ask him, Bernie, what did you think of Return to House on Haunted Hill? What'd you say? Bernie, did you like the kills? Bernie, did you like the final girl and how hot she was? Okay. So that's what Bernie has to say about the movie. He is kind of a nutcase. So I apologize for his bizarre behavior, his bizarre speaking patterns. I mean, who can understand meows? I mean, I don't even know what he's doing. Like, he's like sniffing shit and just like standing around like a goofball. And now he went under the bed, probably so he can stare at pictures of the final girl. Bernie, you better not leave any used tissues under there. Okay, so anyways, I'm glad that I rewatched this movie because, again, it just reinforced the fact that this movie was so much better than the other one. So please like this video, comment, tell me, why do you not like this movie? Why? Why? Oh, now he wants to go. That's so weird. Bernie, why are you wanting to leave now? What are you doing? God, that's so weird. But, and then please subscribe to our channel if you'd like to see more honest movie reviews. And by the way, I keep on thinking about Boogeyman. I keep on thinking about the first Boogeyman. And honestly, like, that movie really does leave an impact on you because of, like, the style of the movie. And just, it's one of those movies where, like, it should have been so much better than it was. And still somehow I'm still thinking about the movie, kind of. So, yeah. So, goodbye, everybody. See you soon.